Hi, my name is G, and in the last video, to recap, what we did was we added a HexNutModel class, this new model package, and we also added a part feature creation function, this createHexNut function, that adds a object to the document, passes this object into the constructor of the HexNutModel class, and this model class is going to kind of decorate it or modify this object to add properties to it, and these properties are going to show up within the FreeCAD property editor, so like this, and they're going to allow the user to change and update these properties. And notice that after I change it, they don't update right away. I have to recompute the document, hit recompute, and only then will the geometry update. So let's go ahead and look at the code, see how we can do this. So we can see here we have a to-do comment to add some custom properties with a nice little example. So we're going to need something very similar to this. Let's uncomment it. You can do Control / and VS Code as a shortcut for that. And the first property we're going to do is the width across the flats, or flat to flat distance. So let's rename where we see property name in both places, Control D, and we'll say width across flats. We're going to want to give it a nice description. This will be used for the tooltip. So we'll say like distance of, or maybe distance between flat to flat side. And this is the property type, which is going to be a length and gives it some units, so that's good. And it's going to have a default value of 10 millimeters, so that's good. And then we need to actually pass it into our part class. So if we remember, the make method takes the flat to flat distance as the first argument. And the way that we can get access to whatever the property is through this reference to this object, OBJ for short. And I'll make a new variable for this. The way I can access to it is saying obj, and then I need to access the property name, so width across flats, and then this is going to be something called a quantity object, but if we want the actual value, like 10 millimeters, we have to call .value on it like that, and then we can pass in our flat to flat distance. And let's go ahead and remove our to-do comment. So this should be enough to parameterize the width across the flats. Let's go ahead and test it. Click our part, and sure enough, we have a new property, width across the flats. If we hover over it, we see our tooltip and our default value of 10. So let's go ahead and update this, and yeah, we can see that it correctly updates. Let's go ahead and do the other parameters now. So the next one we'll do is the hole diameter, so we'll just copy that line and paste it. Call it hole diameter. Say diameter is the hole. This base argument is acting as a grouping or a heading, a way to group together multiple properties. we'll just keep it base for now. The default hole diameter, we'll stick with whatever the default values that we defined in the make method. So for hole diameter, that was 6. And then the next one we're going to add is the height. Height of nut, and the default value is 4. And similarly down here, create variables. We can access them like that, like the name of the property, and then again, this is something called a quantity object. So to get the actual value, the millimeter value, we need to say .value on it. Then let's pass it in to our make method. Okay, let's give it a try. And yeah, we see our properties here. There's the height, hole diameter. One thing that you'll notice if you kind of stretch the boundaries, you can get some unexpected behavior like that, or undesirable behavior. Ideally, you would probably want to add some code. Oh, and now we're getting an error because this doesn't make sense and FreeCAD's puking on it. So yeah, ideally you would, add some code to check for this or prevent it, but we're not going to worry about that right now. One last thing I wanted to show you is what the documentation looks like for this. So the documentation for the model classes is pretty good. Do OSE WB docs, and we'll take a look at the model package as well as the part feature package. And again, there are little aliases, short aliases built in. So instead of browse, you could do BR. And let's go look at the model package. So we can see here that the platform or the framework is looking inside of the model, and it knows the type of the properties, which, if we remember, we specified length here, so it's just removing this app : property prefix, and so it's a type length, and it knows their default values. It's getting the description from whatever the tooltip we're using, and it's getting the name of the property, and then making it human readable by adding spaces. So that's the HexNutModel class, and I think we're pretty much done with the HexNut part. The next videos will be focused on the bolt. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.